Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the humid, star-dusted nights of Edo, Japan, where fireflies aren't just bugs, they're tiny lanterns of wonder, flickering like the dreams of a poet too tired to write. Picture yourself standing on a riverbank, the air thick with summer's breath, a faint buzz of cicadas humming in the distance. Your sandals sink into the cool, damp earth, and all around, little golden sparks drift like they've got nowhere better to be. These fireflies, they're not just pretty, they're the heart of a craft that lit up an entire era. Honestly, if you tried catching these glowy little rebels with your bare hands, you'd probably trip into the river and scare them all off. You'd never survive a night in Edo's firefly fields. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is there. I love picturing you all cozy in your corners of the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing in a field just outside Edo, the city that'll one day become Tokyo, and it's the early 17th century. The night wraps around you like a silk kimono, heavy with the scent of wet grass and blooming irises. Fireflies pulse in the air, each one a tiny heartbeat of light, and you're not alone. Villagers, their faces softened by moonlight, move with quiet purpose, bamboo baskets in hand. They're hunting fireflies, not for sport, but for something far more delicate. These glowing specks are the key to a craft that's half art, half obsession. Firefly lanterns, the kind that make modern fairy lights look like cheap knockoffs from a dollar store. You watch a young woman, her kimono sleeves tied back, sweep a fan gently through the air, coaxing a firefly into her basket. Her movements are so smooth, you'd swear she's dancing with the night itself. The firefly hunt is no casual pastime. It's a ritual tied to the rhythm of summer in Edo, Japan. You feel the weight of tradition in the air, like the moment before a good plot twist in a movie you didn't see coming. Fireflies, or hotaru, aren't just insects here. They're symbols of fleeting beauty, of love that burns bright and fades fast. Poets scribble about them, lovers sigh over them, and artisans, well, they turn them into something practical yet magical. The lanterns they create aren't just for light, they're status symbols, mood setters, even spiritual guides. You'd probably try to Instagram one and get no likes because your filter game's weak compared to their glow. Here's a truth most don't know. Fireflies in Edo weren't just caught wild. Some villages had secret spots where they'd nurture them, like beekeepers guarding their hives. These firefly farms were tucked away in marshy pockets near rivers, where the air was just wet enough, the plants just right. You can almost smell the muddy earth, feel the damp on your skin, as you imagine crouching near one of these hidden patches. Villagers would guard these spots like they were hiding gold, because in a way, they were. A good firefly haul could mean a month's wages for a lantern maker. Historians still debate how much of this was organized. Did village heads tax the firefly trade, or was it all under-the-table deals? No one's dug up a ledger yet, but you can bet someone was keeping track. You follow the woman with the basket as she heads toward a cluster of lanterns glowing faintly in the distance. Each one's a work of art, bamboo frames so thin they're practically lace, wrapped with paper delicate as a whisper. Inside, fireflies pulse in unison, their light soft but steady, like nature's own heartbeat. You're tempted to reach out, but you'd probably knock one over and start a tiny firefly riot. The villagers are careful, placing their catches into these lanterns with a precision that makes modern tech bros look sloppy. This isn't just about catching bugs, it's about capturing a moment, bottling the ephemeral. As you stand there, the night feels alive, and you're part of something bigger, a craft that's about to light up Edo in ways you can't yet imagine. You're still in the warm embrace of an Edo summer night, the air thick with the scent of cedar and the faint hum of fireflies dancing around you. The woman with the basket leads you toward a small workshop, its shoji screens glowing faintly from within, like a phone left on in a dark room. You slide the door open, and the smell of fresh bamboo and rice paper hits you, sharp and clean. Inside, an artisan hunches over a workbench, his fingers moving with the kind of focus you wish you had during a Netflix binge. He's crafting a Firefly lantern, and you're about to see how this delicate art turns a bug's glow into something that could make even a grumpy samurai crack a smile. The workshop feels like a secret hideout, all flickering oil lamps and tools scattered like a craft store exploded. Bamboo strips, thin as your patience after a long Zoom call, are piled in neat stacks. The artisan, let's call him Taro, is shaving one down with a blade so sharp it could probably cut through your bad decisions. He's building the frame for a lantern, each piece fitted together without a single nail, like a puzzle from a museum gift shop. You watch him weave the bamboo into a delicate cage, his hands steady as a surgeon's. The precision is unreal. Try that with your shaky coffee hands, and you'd end up with kindling. This is where the magic of Edo's Firefly lanterns starts to take shape. Historically, the early 17th century saw artisans in Edo perfecting these lanterns for the growing merchant class, who wanted to flex their wealth without shouting it. A good lantern wasn't just a light source, it was a statement, like rocking a designer bag today, but way cooler because it's powered by bugs. Taro's work is part of a boom in craftsmanship during the early Tokugawa shogunate, when peace meant people had time to get fancy with their decor. These lanterns lit up tea houses, gardens, and even a few shady deals in a back alley. Here's something wild most folks miss. The best lantern makers used a secret mix of rice paste and mulberry sap to make the paper translucent but strong, like nature's own Gorilla Glass. You can almost feel the sticky texture as Taro brushes it onto the paper, sealing it over the bamboo frame. This wasn't just about aesthetics. The mix kept the fireflies alive longer by letting just enough air through. Too tight, and your lantern's a bug coffin. Too loose, and your fireflies are pulling a jailbreak. Artisans like Taro guarded these recipes like they were the nuclear codes, passing them down only to trusted apprentices. Historians still argue over whether this paste was the real secret or just a trade myth to keep competitors guessing. You lean closer, catching the faint rustle of paper as Taro stretches it tight. The lantern's starting to look like something you'd see in a Studio Ghibli film, all soft edges and quiet elegance. He places a few fireflies inside, and their glow pulses through the paper, turning the whole thing into a living jewel. You're half tempted to ask for one, but you'd probably drop it and let the fireflies loose in your Airbnb. The process is slow, deliberate, like watching someone knit a sweater for a goldfish. He checks every angle, muttering to himself about balance and light. You can feel the pride in his work, the kind of focus that makes you want to step up your own game, maybe finally organize that junk drawer. As you stand there, the workshop feels like a bubble outside time. The firefly's glow dances on the walls, casting shadows that flicker like old memories. You're starting to get why these lanterns were such a big deal in Edo. They're not just objects, they're moments, captured and held close. Taro finishes one lantern and starts another, his hands never stopping. You're itching to see where these lanterns go next, who they'll light up, and what stories they'll tell. For now, you just breathe in the scent of bamboo and let the night carry you forward. The workshop's glow lingers in your mind as you step back into the Edo night, the air still heavy with summer's warmth and the faint buzz of fireflies. You're walking a narrow path now, the kind that feels like it's leading you straight into a haiku. The fireflies are everywhere, winking like stars that forgot their place in the sky, and you can't help but feel they're trying to tell you something. Their light isn't just pretty, it's got a weight to it, a meaning that's been woven into the soul of this place. You're about to learn why these tiny glowing bugs are more than just lantern fuel. They're the heartbeat of Edo's poetry and its fleeting, fragile idea of love. You pause by a small bridge, the wooden planks creaking under your sandals like a passive-aggressive roommate. Below, a stream glints with reflected firefly light, and you spot a young poet scribbling on a scroll, his face lit by a single lantern. He's muttering lines about love that burns bright and fades fast, and you realize fireflies are his muse. In Edo, Japan, fireflies, or hotaru, are practically the poster children for impermanence. They're the ultimate metaphor for those summer flings you thought would last forever, but ended with a ghosted text, except here, it's all ink and longing. The poet's words drift towards you, soft as the breeze, and you feel the ache of something beautiful that won't last. This obsession with fireflies isn't just random. Historically, the 17th century was peak haiku time, with poets like Matsuo Basho turning nature into art that could make you cry into your sake. Fireflies pop up in poems as symbols of mono no aware, the bittersweet beauty of things that pass too quickly. You can picture a noble woman in a silk kimono, gazing at a firefly lantern and sighing over a lover who's probably off practicing swordplay instead of riding her back. It's romantic, sure, but also a little tragic, like realizing your favorite show got canceled after one season. The firefly's glow, so brief and brilliant, mirrors those fleeting moments of connection that Edo's poets couldn't stop chasing. Here's a weird tidbit most people skip. Some Edo poets believed fireflies carried tiny fragments of the human soul, like nature's own USB drives for emotions. You can almost imagine them now, each flicker a little piece of someone's heartbreak or joy floating through the night. This idea wasn't mainstream, but it cropped up in obscure poems and folklore, especially among rural folks who saw fireflies as more than just bugs. They'd whisper that a lantern full of fireflies could light up not just a room, but a memory, pulling you back to a moment you'd forgotten. Historians still debate whether this was just poetic fluff, or if some truly believed it. Good luck proving that one without a time machine. You lean against the bridge, watching the poet pack up his scroll and lantern, his silhouette fading into the dark. The fireflies keep dancing, and you wonder if they know they're starring in so many verses. You'd probably try to catch one and whisper your own secrets to it, but knowing you, it'd slip through your fingers and you'd end up with a wet sandal from the stream. The night feels alive with possibility, each firefly a tiny spark of something bigger, love, loss, or just the quiet thrill of being here. You glance at the lantern by your side, its glow steady but soft, and feel a tug to follow where it leads. The poet's gone, but his words linger, and you're ready to see what else these fireflies light up in Edo's heart.
You're wandering deeper into Edo now, the night air thick with the scent of pine and the faint glow of firefly lanterns guiding your steps. The path widens, leading you to a gated courtyard where the hum of voices slips through the shadows like a podcast left on low. You're about to meet the Lantern Makers Guild, a secretive bunch who treat their craft like it's the recipe for the perfect miso soup. These aren't just artisans, they're gatekeepers of a tradition that lights up the homes of Edo's elite, and you can feel the weight of their pride as you approach. It's like walking into a VIP club, except instead of bottle service, they're serving glow-in-the-dark bugs. You slip through the gate, your sandals scuffing on the gravel, and find yourself in a courtyard lined with lanterns, each one pulsing with a soft, living light. The guild members move like they're in a choreographed dance, their hands busy with bamboo, paper, and tiny brushes slick with that mysterious rice paste you remember from Taro's workshop. The head artisan, a wiry man with eyes sharp as a katana, glances your way but doesn't stop working. His name's whispered as Master Hiroshi, and you can tell he's the kind of guy who'd judge your entire personality based on how you hold a paintbrush. Try to keep up, because you'd probably fumble the brush and end up with paste in your hair. This guild isn't just a craft club, it's a powerhouse in Edo's economy. In the mid-17th century, as the Tokugawa shogunate tightened its grip, guilds like this one sprang up to control trades and keep quality high. The Lantern Makers Guild supplied nobility, merchants, and even the shogun's court with Firefly lanterns that were as much about status as illumination. These weren't your average IKEA lamps. They were custom-made, each one a flex of wealth and taste. A single lantern could cost as much as a month's rice for a samurai's household, and you can bet the guild knew how to charge for their glow. Here's a secret most don't catch. The guild had a hidden ranking system for their lanterns, marked by tiny symbols etched into the bamboo. Circles for merchants, crescents for nobility, and stars for the shogun's court. You spot one now, a faint crescent carved into a lantern's base, so subtle you'd miss it if you weren't looking. These marks weren't just for show. They signaled who the lantern was for and ensured no one got a noble's lantern by mistake. Mess that up and you'd have a very grumpy lord on your hands. Historians still argue over how strict this system was. Some say it was ironclad, others think artisans sneaked fancier lanterns to rich merchants for extra coin. You linger by a workbench, watching a young apprentice struggle to match Hiroshi's speed. The air smells of fresh-cut bamboo and something sweet, maybe the mulberry sap in the paste. The lanterns here are next level. Some are shaped like lotuses, others like tiny pagodas, each one a little masterpiece. You're tempted to touch one, but you'd probably knock it over and start a Firefly stampede. The guild's intensity is palpable, like a group project where everyone's actually doing their part. You can feel the pride, the rivalry, the quiet obsession with perfection. As you step back into the night, the glow of the lanterns follows you. And you're curious who these lanterns are destined for. Because in Edo, a lantern's light tells a story of its own.
You're back in the humid Edo night, leaving the guild's courtyard behind, its lanterns still flickering in your mind like a screensaver you can't turn off. The path you're on now winds toward a quiet village, where the air smells of wet earth and wildflowers, and the buzz of fireflies feels like a secret only you're in on. You're heading to a place most city folk in Edo never see, a hidden spot where villagers don't just catch fireflies, but actually raise them, like farmers tending to a crop of tiny glowing dreams. It's a hustle that makes modern gig apps look lazy, and you're about to get a front row seat to their crafty ways. You step into a clearing, your sandals sinking slightly into the soft, marshy ground. Low wooden fences mark off patches of land near a slow-moving stream where fireflies pulse in lazy arcs. A villager, an older woman with a smile sharper than her sickle, is tending to a cluster of plants, water hemlock and reeds, perfect for firefly eggs. She moves with the calm of someone who knows exactly what she's doing, unlike you trying to keep a houseplant alive. Her hands brush the leaves, checking for the tiny glowing larvae that'll soon become lantern stars. You'd probably step on one by accident and feel guilty for a week. This isn't just a quirky hobby, it's a serious operation. In the 17th century, as demand for firefly lanterns soared, villages like this one turned firefly breeding into a side hustle that could rival a samurai stipend. They'd cultivate specific plants, manage water levels, and even chase off predators like frogs to keep their firefly stock thriving. It was like running a boutique farm for bioluminescent bugs, and these villagers were the unsung heroes, keeping Edo's lanterns lit. Without them, the guild's fancy bamboo frames would just be empty cages, like a smartphone with no battery. Here's something odd most miss. Some villages used a bizarre trick to boost firefly numbers by sprinkling crushed snail shells into the soil to mimic the minerals fireflies craved. You can almost hear the faint crunch as the woman scatters a handful, her movements deliberate, like she's seasoning a stew. This wasn't just folklore, it actually worked, giving larvae the calcium they needed to grow strong and glow bright. Historians still debate whether this was widespread or just a quirk of a few clever villages. Either way, it's the kind of weird flex that makes you respect their hustle. You crouch near the stream, watching tiny lights flicker in the reeds, each one a future lantern star. The woman explains, in a voice soft as the night, how they time their breeding to match the summer lantern market. Too early, and the fireflies burn out before sale. Too late, and you miss the festivals. It's a delicate dance, like trying to time a TikTok trend before it flops. You're tempted to ask if you can try scattering some shells, but you'd probably end up with mud on your face and a very unimpressed villager. As you stand, the clearing feels alive, a quiet factory of light. The fireflies' glow hums with purpose, and you're starting to see how this village's work lights up not just lanterns, but the whole city of Edo. You're leaving the village behind now, the soft glow of firefly breeding patches fading as you follow a lantern-lit path toward Edo's heart. The air hums with the energy of a city waking up to its nightlife, and you're stepping into a night market, where the scent of grilled eel and sake mixes with the chatter of merchants and revelers. Firefly lanterns hang from stalls, their golden pulses casting a dreamy glow over baskets of silk, stacks of rice cakes, and trinkets that look like they belong in a period drama. It's like walking into a pop-up shop run by fireflies, and you're half expecting to see a vendor hawking glow-in-the-dark kimonos. You'd probably buy one, then realize it doesn't come in your size. The market is alive, a maze of wooden stalls and colorful banners swaying in the breeze. You weave through the crowd, your sandals scuffing on the packed dirt, catching glimpses of lanterns everywhere, some dangling from poles, others cradled in the hands of giggling children. Each one's glow is soft but commanding, like a really good Spotify playlist setting the mood. Merchants call out, their voices sharp yet inviting, offering lanterns as if they're selling pieces of the night itself. You can feel the pulse of Edo's commerce, the kind of energy that makes you want to haggle for something just to say you did. This market scene isn't just a vibe. It's a snapshot of Edo's booming economy in the 17th century. The Tokugawa shogunate's stability meant trade flourished, and night markets became the place to see and be seen. Firefly lanterns were the ultimate accessory. Merchants used them to draw eyes, lovers gifted them to spark romance, and even street performers wove them into acts to wow the crowd. It was like the LED signs of today, but with actual soul. A single lantern could make a stall stand out, turning a humble fishmonger into the talk of the market. Here's a quirky detail most overlook. Some vendors rigged their lanterns with tiny mirrors to amplify the firefly's glow, like putting a spotlight on a bug's backside. You spot one now, a clever setup where a sliver of polished bronze catches the light, making the lantern shine brighter than its neighbors. It's a hustler's trick, not unlike boosting your social media post to get more clicks. These mirrors were a trade secret, and not every vendor used them. Some purists thought it was cheating, like using autotune on a ballad. Historians still debate how common this practice was, with some arguing it was a short-lived fad, while others think it was the key to certain merchants' success. You pause by a stall, where a vendor, all toothy grins and quick hands, shows off a lantern shaped like a crescent moon. The fireflies inside pulse in sync, and you're mesmerized, like staring at a campfire on a camping trip you actually enjoyed. You'd probably try to buy one, only to realize you forgot your wallet back in the 21st century. The crowd presses around you, their laughter and chatter blending with the hum of fireflies, and you feel the market's rhythm pulling you deeper. These lanterns aren't just lighting the way, they're tying this chaotic, beautiful night together, and you're ready to see where their glow leads next.
You're slipping away from the bustling market now, its lively hum fading as you follow a quieter path along the edge of Edo. The air feels cooler here, carrying the faint scent of cedar and the distant clatter of wooden geta on stone. Firefly lanterns still dot the way, their soft glow winking like they're sharing a secret. You're heading toward a shadowed grove where samurai gather, their silhouettes sharp against the flickering light. These warriors aren't just swinging swords, they're using firefly lanterns in ways you'd never expect, turning delicate crafts into tools of stealth and strategy. It's like watching a ninja pull off a heist with a glow stick, except way cooler, and you'd probably trip over a root trying to keep up. You crouch behind a low hedge, your breath catching as you spot a samurai adjusting a lantern at his belt. His armor gleams faintly, but it's the lantern's pulse that draws your eye. A tiny, controlled glow, barely brighter than a candle. He's not showing off like the market vendors. This is business. The samurai moves silently, signaling to another figure in the shadows with a quick flicker of the lantern, like he's texting in Morse code. You're half tempted to try it yourself, but you'd probably flash the wrong signal and accidentally challenge someone to a duel. This isn't just a cool trick, it's rooted in Edo's history. In the early Tokugawa period, samurai were the shogunate's enforcers, often operating at night to maintain order or settle scores. Firefly lanterns, small and portable, became their go-to for covert missions. Unlike torches, which screamed, "Here I am!" these lanterns could be dimmed or covered, perfect for signaling without alerting enemies. They were the 17th century equivalent of night vision goggles, except powered by bugs and a whole lot prettier. A skilled samurai could use them to coordinate ambushes or mark safe paths, all while looking like a poetic soul out for a stroll. Here's a strange fact most miss. Some samurai coated their lanterns paper with a thin layer of lacquer infused with charcoal dust to make the light even dimmer, almost invisible unless you were looking for it. You can imagine the faint smoky scent as the samurai adjusts his lantern, the glow barely a whisper. This trick was so niche that only a few clans mastered it, and they guarded the recipe like it was their grandma's dumpling sauce. Historians still argue over whether this was widespread or just specialty of elite operatives. Either way, it's the kind of detail that makes you wish you had a time machine to snoop. You watch the samurai slip into the grove, his lantern's light vanishing like a firefly winking out. The night feels heavier now, charged with purpose. You can almost hear the soft clink of his sword as he moves, the lantern's glow a silent partner in his mission. You're starting to see these lanterns as more than pretty decorations. They're tools, symbols, even weapons in the right hands. You'd probably drop one and give away your position, but for now, you're content to follow the faint glow, wondering what other secrets Edo's shadows hold. The night stretches on, and you're ready to see where these warrior lanterns lead next.
You're moving away from the samurai's shadowy grove now, the tense air softening as you follow a stream of firefly lanterns bobbing through the night like a river of light. The scent of grilled rice dumplings and sweet red bean paste wafts toward you, and the distant sound of flutes and laughter pulls you forward. You're stepping into a summer festival, one of Edo's grandest, where firefly lanterns aren't just tools or trinkets, they're the stars of the show, dazzling crowds like a pre-electricity light spectacular. It's like stumbling into a music festival, except instead of glow sticks, everyone's waving bug-powered lanterns. And you'd probably spill sake on your kimono trying to dance along. The festival sprawls across a wide field, paper banners fluttering above stalls piled with mochi and wooden toys. Firefly lanterns hang in clusters, their golden pulses syncing with the beat of taiko drums, casting a glow that makes everything feel like a dream you don't want to wake from. You weave through the crowd, your sandals crunching on scattered petals, and spot families waving lanterns shaped like stars and flowers, kids giggling as they chase each other's lights. The air's warm, sticky, alive with the hum of 1,000 voices, and you can't help but grin. This is Edo at its most joyful. Like a really good block party where everyone brought their A-game. These festivals were a big deal in 17th century Edo, especially during summer when the Tokugawa shogunate loosened its iron grip just enough for people to let loose. Events like the Tanabata Festival or local Firefly celebrations drew everyone. Merchants, artisans, even the occasional samurai slumming it in plain clothes. Firefly lanterns were the centerpiece, used in dances, parades, and contests where artisans showed off their flashiest designs. Winning a lantern contest could make a craftsman's name, like getting a viral hit on social media, except with more prestige and fewer trolls. The best lanterns lit up the night, turning a field into a glowing canvas of fleeting beauty. Here's a wild detail most skip. Some festival goers released fireflies from their lanterns at the night's peak, believing it brought good luck. Like tossing coins into a fountain, but way prettier. You watch it happen now. A group of revelers opens their lanterns and dozens of fireflies spiral upwards, their lights blending with the stars. It's mesmerizing, like a mini fireworks show powered by nature. This practice wasn't universal. Some thought it wasteful, especially the lantern makers who'd spent weeks perfecting their glow. Historians still debate how widespread this was. Some say it was a romantic gesture, others argue it was a way to flex wealth by wasting precious fireflies. You pause by a stage where dancers twirl with lanterns, their movements fluid as the light itself. The crowd cheers, and you're tempted to join in, but you'd probably trip over a lantern and start a tiny chaos. The firefly's glow feels like it's stitching the night together, linking every laugh, every clink of sake cups. You're starting to get why these lanterns matter so much. They're not just lights, they're the pulse of this festival, this city, this moment. As the music swells, you feel the night pulling you deeper, ready to show you more of Edo's glowing heart. You're drifting away from the festival's vibrant hum, the echo of drums and laughter softening as you slip down a quieter Edo street. The night air clings to you, laced with the faint scent of charcoal smoke and blooming jasmine. Firefly lanterns still glow along the path, but their light feels more intimate now, like secrets shared in a whisper. You're heading toward a tucked-away workshop where the air buzzes with tension. Rival lantern makers are locked in a quiet battle for supremacy, their egos brighter than the bugs they work with. It's like watching a reality show showdown, except instead of drama queens, it's artisans throwing shade with bamboo and paper. You'd probably pick a side and immediately regret it when they start arguing over brushstrokes. You step into the workshop, its wooden beams creaking under the weight of years and ambition. Two artisans face off across a cluttered table. Let's call them Kenji and Aiko, each surrounded by half-finished lanterns that gleam like they're auditioning for a starring role. Kenji's got a stack of angular, minimalist frames, all sharp lines and bold glows, while Aiko's lanterns are delicate, curved like lotus petals, their light softer but mesmerizing. You can feel the rivalry crackling, like the moment before a group chat argument gets personal. They're not yelling, but their clipped words and pointed glances say enough. You're tempted to mediate, but you'd probably just spill their rice paste and make things worse. This isn't just petty squabbling. It's a slice of Edo's competitive artisan culture. In the 17th century, as firefly lanterns became must-haves for the elite, craftsmen didn't just work, they battled for prestige.
Guilds like the one you saw earlier kept things organized, but individual artisans fought to stand out, especially for big commissions from nobles or temples. A single standout design could land you a patron, maybe even a nod from the shogun's court, like getting a 5-star review from a celebrity client. Losing, though, could mean months of struggling to sell your stock, while your rival's lanterns lit up every tea house in town. Here's a quirky tidbit most miss. Some artisans hid tiny signatures in their lanterns, like Easter eggs in a video game. You spot one now in Aiko's work, a faint pattern of firefly wings etched into the bamboo, so subtle you'd need a magnifying glass to catch it. These marks were a flex, a way to claim credit without breaking the guild's rules on humility. They also fueled rivalries, as artisans like Kenji would scoff at showy details, claiming their own sleek designs spoke for themselves. Historians still debate how many of these signatures were personal pride versus sly marketing. Some say they were coded jabs at rivals, but no one's cracked the full story. You linger by the table, watching Kenji adjust his lantern's frame with a scowl, while Aiko brushes paste with a smug little smile. The fireflies inside their creations pulse like they're picking up on the tension, their glow shifting from soft to sharp. You can almost taste the bitterness in the air, mixed with the sweet tang of mulberry sap. It's a reminder that even in Edo's glowing nights, not everything's harmonious. You'd probably try to compliment both their lanterns and end up sounding like a nervous intern. As you step back into the night, the workshop's glow fades, but the spark of their rivalry lingers, pushing you to wonder who'll come out on top and where their lanterns will shine next.
You're slipping away from the charged air of the rival artisan's workshop, the night folding around you like a soft blanket as you wander toward Edo's art district. The streets here are quieter, lined with low-roofed studios where the scent of ink and drawing paper hangs heavy. Firefly lanterns glow faintly through shoji screens, casting patterns that dance like shadows with a secret. You're about to step into a world where fireflies aren't just lantern fodder, they're muses for artists, sparking ukiyo-e prints and paintings that capture Edo's fleeting beauty. It's like stumbling into an Instagram feed of the 17th century, except these posts are hand-painted and way more poetic. You'd probably try to sketch one yourself and end up with a stick figure firefly that looks like a drunk lightning bug. You pause outside a studio, peering through a crack in the door. Inside, an artist, let's call her Yuki, works by the light of a single firefly lantern, her brush moving across a woodblock with the precision of a chef plating a Michelin-starred dish. The lantern's glow catches the ink, making her firefly sketch shimmer like it's alive. She's carving a scene for an ukiyo-e print, fireflies drifting over a moonlit river, their lights mirrored in the water. You can almost feel the coolness of the scene, the way the night wraps around it. It's hypnotic, like scrolling through a really good art blog, but you're actually here, breathing it in. This isn't just a niche hobby, it's part of Edo's cultural explosion. In the 17th century, ukiyo-e, pictures of the floating world, were all the rage, capturing everything from kabuki actors to landscapes. Fireflies, with their fleeting glow, were perfect for this art form, symbolizing the transient beauty that obsessed Edo's artists. These prints weren't just for fancy collectors. Merchants and commoners snapped them up, plastering their homes with scenes of fireflies to feel a little poetic on a budget. It was like buying a poster at a concert, except these posters might outlive the shogunate itself. Here's a strange detail most miss. Some artists mixed crushed firefly wings into their inks to give prints an eerie, luminescent sheen under certain lights. You catch a glint now as Yuki tilts her work, the ink catching the lantern's glow in a way that feels almost supernatural. This wasn't common. Crushing fireflies was pricey and a bit morbid, but it gave prints a subtle sparkle that drove collectors wild. Historians still argue over how widespread this practice was. Some say it was a rare flex for elite artists. Others think it was just a rumor to make prints sound mystical. Either way, it's the kind of weird that makes you respect the hustle. You lean closer, the scent of ink sharp in your nose, watching Yuki add delicate lines to her fireflies. Each stroke feels like it's capturing a moment you'll never get back, like trying to photograph a sunset before it fades. You're tempted to ask for a print, but you'd probably smudge it and ruin her masterpiece. The lantern beside her pulses, its fireflies unaware they're inspiring art that'll outlast them by centuries. You feel the weight of that thought, the way beauty gets frozen in ink while the world moves on. As you step back into the night, the studio's glow lingers, pulling you toward whatever these fireflies will light up next.
You're gliding away from the art district now, the faint smell of ink and woodblock fading as you follow a trail of firefly lanterns toward a hillside dotted with stone markers. The night feels heavier, the air thick with the scent of incense and something ancient, like a memory you can't quite place. It's Obon, the festival of ancestral spirits, and Edo's alive with a quiet reverence that makes your skin prickle. Firefly lanterns aren't just pretty tonight, they're guiding souls, lighting paths for the dead to find their way home. It's like setting up a cosmic GPS with bugs, and you'd probably mess it up by pointing the lantern at the wrong star. You reach a small temple, its wooden gate framed by lanterns that pulse like tiny heartbeats. Families kneel before altars, offering rice and sake, their faces softened by the glow. You can hear soft chants, the kind that make you want to whisper your own secrets to the night. A grandmother places a firefly lantern on a grave, its light spilling over the stone like a gentle hug. You feel the weight of the moment, like scrolling through old photos and stumbling on one that hits you hard. The lanterns here aren't for show. They're bridges between worlds, carrying love and loss in their fragile glow. This is no small tradition. In 17th century Edo, Obon was a major event rooted in Buddhist beliefs about honoring the dead. Families believed ancestral spirits returned each summer, and firefly lanterns were thought to guide them safely, their soft light perfect for navigating the veil between worlds. Unlike the flashy festival lanterns you saw earlier, these are simpler, often just bamboo and paper, but their glow feels sacred, like a candle in a church. Temples and households across Edo lit up during Obon, creating a citywide constellation of remembrance that could make even a cynical samurai pause. Here's a curious detail most overlook. Some families tied tiny threads of dyed silk to their lanterns, believing the colors, red for love, white for purity, helped spirits recognize their kin. You notice one now, a faint red thread fluttering on a lantern, catching the light like a whispered promise. This wasn't universal. Some priests called it superstition, but for many, it was a way to personalize the glow, like leaving a note in a bottle. Historians still debate how widespread this practice was. Some say it was a rural quirk, others argue it spread to Edo's urban elite. Either way, it's the kind of touch that makes your chest ache a little. You linger by the temple, watching the grandmother adjust her lantern, her hands trembling but sure. The fireflies inside pulse slowly, like they know their job is bigger than usual tonight. You're tempted to light one yourself, but you'd probably fumble the bamboo and disturb the peace. The air feels thick with stories, families reuniting, spirits lingering, all tied together by these glowing bugs. You can almost hear the whispers of the past carried on the breeze.
As you step away, the lantern's light feels like it's following you, a quiet reminder that even in Edo's busy nights, there's room for those who've gone before. You're ready to see where this glow leads next. You're slipping away from the temple's solemn glow, the soft chants of Oban fading as you follow a winding path back toward Edo's edges. The night air is cooler now, tinged with the earthy scent of damp moss and the faint rustle of leaves. Firefly lanterns still light your way, but their glow feels sparser, like stars struggling through a cloudy sky. You're heading to a riverside village where whispers of worry ripple through the community, not about spirits or artisans, but about the fireflies themselves. Their numbers are dwindling, and the people who depend on them are starting to feel the pinch. It's like realizing your favorite coffee shop's running low on beans, except this shortage could dim Edo's nights. You'd probably try to help and end up scaring the bugs away with your clumsy enthusiasm. You reach the village, where a small crowd gathers near a marshy bank, their lanterns casting a faint glow over the reeds. A man with weathered hands, maybe a firefly farmer like the ones you met earlier, gestures animatedly, his voice low but urgent. He's talking about the streams drying up, the plants wilting, the fireflies not showing up like they used to. You can feel the tension, like when your phone's at 1% and there's no charger in sight. These villagers aren't just worried about their livelihoods, they're watching a piece of their world flicker out, and it hits harder than you expected. This isn't just local gossip, it's a real issue in 17th century Edo. As the city grew, so did its demand for firefly lanterns, putting pressure on the delicate ecosystems where fireflies thrived. Urban sprawl and overharvesting started to thin their numbers, especially in areas close to Edo's bustling core. Villages that once supplied hundreds of fireflies for lanterns were lucky to catch a few dozen now, and it was starting to show. Fewer lanterns at markets, dimmer festivals. It's like the moment you realize your favorite streaming service is hiking its prices while cutting content. People began to notice, and some even started petitioning local officials to protect the marshlands. Here's a peculiar detail most miss. Some villagers tried luring fireflies back by burning small piles of herbs, mugwort and cedar bark, believing the smoke mimicked their breeding grounds. You catch a whiff now, a sharp, smoky tang that makes your nose twitch. It's an odd trick, like trying to coax a cat with a laser pointer, and it didn't always work. But when it did, the fireflies would drift toward the smoke, drawn by some ancient instinct. Historians still debate how effective this was. Some call it a desperate ploy, others think it was a clever hack born of necessity. Either way, it's a reminder of how far people went to keep the glow alive. You linger by the river, watching the villagers scatter more herbs, their lanterns flickering like they're holding their breath. A young boy nearby cradles a single firefly in his hands, its light pulsing faintly, and you feel a pang, like watching a kid cling to a toy that's falling apart. You're tempted to join their efforts, but you'd probably set the herbs on fire and start a whole new problem. The night feels fragile now. The fireflies glow, a quiet plea to hold on. As you step away, the village's worry lingers, and you're starting to wonder how long Edo's lanterns can keep shining. The path ahead glows faintly, pulling you toward the next chapter of this fading light. You're leaving the village's quiet worry behind, the faint scent of burnt herbs fading as you follow a wide, lantern-lit road toward Edo's imperial heart. The air grows warmer, laced with the polish of lacquered wood and the distant chime of temple bells. You're heading to a grand imperial event, a spectacle where firefly lanterns aren't just lights, but symbols of power, glowing for the shogun's court like a flex that screams, "We've got this city on lock." The lanterns here are massive, dwarfing the delicate ones you saw at the festival, and their glow feels like it could outshine your phone screen on max brightness. You'd probably try to take a selfie with one and end up blinded by bugs. You step into a sprawling courtyard outside the shogun's palace, where firefly lanterns hang from ornate stands, their light casting intricate shadows on silk screens. Courtiers in flowing robes glide past, their whispers sharp with gossip, while samurai stand guard, their lanterns dim but ready for signals. The scene is pure opulence, like a red carpet event but with better aesthetics and fewer paparazzi. You spot a towering lantern, its bamboo frame carved with dragons, holding hundreds of fireflies that pulse like a living chandelier. You can feel the weight of the moment, like walking into a party where everyone's cooler than you, and you're just hoping not to spill your sake. This isn't just a fancy party, it's a historical flex. In the mid-17th century, the Tokugawa shogunate used lavish displays like this to show off their control and wealth. Firefly lanterns, once a merchant's pride or a poet's muse, became tools of propaganda, with the court commissioning massive versions to dazzle visitors and remind everyone who was boss. These events weren't just for show. They reinforced alliances, with lords gifting lanterns to the shogun as a sign of loyalty. It's like sending your boss a really expensive holiday card, except it glows and costs a fortune in bugs. Here's a strange tidbit most overlook. Some of these imperial lanterns were designed to sing, by weaving thin bamboo slats that vibrated faintly when the fireflies moved, creating a soft hum like a wind chime. You hear it now, a delicate buzz from a dragon-shaped lantern, so subtle you'd miss it if the crowd weren't so hushed. This wasn't just for aesthetics. It was meant to mimic the sound of nature, tying the court's power to the divine. Historians still debate how intentional this was. Some say it was pure art. Others argue it was a calculated move to awe superstitious guests. Either way, it's the kind of detail that makes you wish you could eavesdrop on the shogun's event planner. You linger near the lantern, its hum blending with the murmur of the court. A noblewoman adjusts her fan, her eyes catching the glow, and you wonder what she's plotting behind that polite smile. You're tempted to get closer, but you'd probably trip over a silk train and start a diplomatic incident. The firefly's light feels alive, tying this grand display to the village fields and workshops you've seen. It's a reminder that even here, in Edo's gilded heart, the glow comes from the same fragile bugs. As you step back, the courtyard's radiance pulls you forward, ready to show you what's next in this glittering, fleeting world. You're slipping away from the imperial courtyard's grandeur, the hum of those dragon-shaped lanterns fading as you follow a narrow street back toward Edo's artisan quarter. The night air is thick with the scent of wax and polished glass, a new edge to the familiar mix of bamboo and rice paste. Firefly lanterns still light your way, but something's different. Some glow with a sharper, almost crystalline clarity, like they've been upgraded to premium. You're about to discover how Edo's lantern makers are pushing their craft forward, blending glass with tradition to keep their glow ahead of the curve. It's like watching a tech startup pivot, except instead of apps, it's bugs in shiny new cages. You'd probably try to hold one and drop it, shattering both glass and your dignity. You step into a workshop buzzing with quiet innovation, its walls lined with shelves of strange, glistening tools. An artisan, let's call him Daichi, works at a table, his hands steady as he fits a thin pane of glass into a bamboo frame. The glass catches the firefly's light,
bending it into a prism-like glow that dances across the room like a kaleidoscope. You can feel the heat from a small brazier nearby, where sand is melted into these delicate panes, a process as mesmerizing as it is risky. It's like watching someone bake a cake with molten lava. Cool, but you're not volunteering to help. This shift isn't just a style choice, it's a turning point in Edo's lantern craft. By the late 17th century, as trade routes brought new materials and ideas, some artisans started experimenting with glass, imported or painstakingly made in small local kilns. Glass lanterns were tougher than paper, letting fireflies live longer while amplifying their light like a natural spotlight. These weren't for everyone. Glass was pricey, so only the wealthy or temples could afford them. It was like the difference between a flip phone and a smartphone. Both work, but one screams, "I've got money." The guild you saw earlier was split on this. Some embraced the shine, others grumbled it betrayed tradition. Here's an odd detail most miss. Early glass lanterns sometimes used fish oil to coat the panes, making them less brittle and giving the light a warmer hue, like a sepia filter on your favorite photo app. You catch a faint whiff of it now, oily and sharp, as Daichi polishes a pane with a rag. This trick wasn't just practical, it was a flex, showing off the artisan's skill in taming a finicky material. Historians still debate how common this was. Some say it was a trade secret among a few innovators, others think it spread quietly to keep up with demand. Either way, it's the kind of hack that makes you respect their ingenuity. You linger by Daichi's table, watching the firefly's light fracture through the glass, casting tiny rainbows on the floor. It's hypnotic, like staring into a crystal ball that actually works. You're tempted to ask him how he does it, but you'd probably get a lecture on glassblowing and zone out halfway through. The workshop feels like a bridge between old and new, the firefly's glow tying Edo's past to its future. As you step back into the night, the lantern's sharper light feels like a promise of change, of beauty, of a city that's always reaching for more. The path ahead glimmers, pulling you toward the final chapter of this glowing tale.
You're wandering away from the glass-lit workshop now, the sharp glint of those new lanterns softening as you move toward Edo's outskirts, where the city's pulse slows to a gentle hum. The air carries the faint tang of river water and fading summer blooms, and the firefly lanterns along the path seem dimmer, their glow struggling against the creeping dawn. You're feeling it too, the weight of a world changing, where the fireflies that once lit up Edo's nights are starting to fade, not just from the marshes, but from the city's heart. It's like watching your favorite band break up, knowing the music won't sound the same again. You'd probably try to catch one last firefly to keep the vibe alive, only to watch it slip through your fingers like a missed text. You pause by a quiet riverbank, where a lone lantern sits, its bamboo frame worn and its paper yellowed, like an old photo you forgot to frame. A fisherman nearby, his hands rough from years of nets, sighs as he watches the faint glow flicker. He's muttering about how the rivers aren't what they used to be. Too many boats, too many buildings, too few fireflies to light the way. You can feel the nostalgia in his voice, like when you realized your childhood arcade is now a vape shop. The lanterns that once defined Edo's nights, guiding spirits, signaling samurai, dazzling festivals, are losing their shine, and it's hitting harder than you expected. This isn't just one man's grumble, it's the end of an era. By the late 17th century, Edo's rapid growth was choking the firefly's world. Urban sprawl swallowed marshes, and new lighting, oil lamps, early candles, started outshining the delicate glow of lanterns. The Tokugawa shogunate's push for modernization meant progress, but it came at a cost. Firefly lanterns, once the pride of artisans and poets, were becoming relics like vinyl records in a streaming age. Some still clung to them, especially in rural villages, but in Edo's bustling core, they were fading, replaced by brighter, cheaper alternatives that didn't need bugs to shine. Here's a poignant detail most overlook. Some families began freeing their fireflies at the end of summer, not for luck like at the festivals, but because they couldn't bear to see them trapped in a fading craft. You watch the fisherman now, gently opening his lantern, letting a handful of fireflies drift into the dawn. Their lights flicker one last time, like stars winking out, and you feel a lump in your throat. This wasn't just kindness. It was a quiet goodbye to a tradition that couldn't keep up. Historians still debate when this practice started. Some say it was a poetic gesture. Others think it was practical. Sparing the bugs, his lanterns fell out of favor. Either way, it's the kind of moment that makes you want to hold on to something fleeting. You stand there, the river lapping softly at the bank, the lantern's glow barely holding on. The fisherman's gone, but his words linger, heavy with the ache of change. You're tempted to pick up the lantern, to keep it glowing just a little longer, but you'd probably fumble it and let the last firefly escape. The night feels fragile now, like a dream you're waking from, and the firefly's light is slipping away, leaving only memories of Edo's glowing past. And now, let's slow down. Let the world soften around you. The river's murmur blends with the rustle of leaves, and the last firefly's glow fades into the gray of dawn, like a candle burning low. You're safe here, wrapped in the quiet of a story that's carried you through Edo's nights. The lanterns, the poets, the artisans, they're all part of you now, a gentle hum in your mind as you drift closer to sleep. Picture the fireflies, their light, soft whisper, guiding you to rest. Let your breath slow, your thoughts blur, until the night is just a warm, glowing memory. Sleep now, carried by the glow, safe in the embrace of a world long gone. Good night.